I'm going to walk you through Screencast-o-matic this evening. And Screencast-o-matic is a way to record anything you're doing on your screen with a voice or without. It's really great because it's free for up to 15 minutes per screencast. There are paid memberships, which do have some perks, but I've found them unnecessary for the way I use this in my classroom. You may feel differently, and that point through Screencast-o-matic's website, you can look into what those paid memberships are worth. The only requirements are that you have a decent internet connection, a computer, and some kind of microphone. Both my professional and my personal laptop have microphones built in, which I think is pretty common these days, but I believe you could very easily use a microphone that is separate from your computer as long as it has some kind of port to plug into your computer. You also don't have to have voice. If whatever you're teaching your students can be done without voice, you could certainly have it be a silent screencast where you're just flipping through slides so that they read or record as they go. So I really wanted to record a video or a screencast, if you will, of me teaching you how to do this while I was doing this, but I figured out it was actually kind of too meta for the universe to handle and kind of made my brain explode when I tried to figure out how to do that. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna improvise with some screenshots of what it would look like if I could record myself recording something. So to start, how do I do it? I would go to the Screencast-o-matic website. Pretty straightforward. I'm already logged in with my professional account. You, for your first time, you'd be logging in or creating an account if you don't already have one, and you hit start recording. So when you hit start recording, it brings up this really nice little dashed line box that looks like a text box or something. And it's got the little squares that you can use to drag it and make it the different sizes. If you want to record something like a PowerPoint that's going to take up your whole screen, you want to drag it to take up pretty much the whole screen. Now, the thing that I unfortunately can't show you right now is it also brings up a small set of controls on the bottom just outside of the shot that's recording. And the reason I can't show you that is because they intentionally keep it outside of the shot so that you can't see the play button or the record button or whatever it is that you're using at the time. So rest assured there is a small rectangular box that appears in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen just underneath this dashed line. And what that does is it looks like the same kind of device commands that you would see on I'm dating myself, but a VCR or a DVD player, Blu-ray player. So that universal red circle inside a square is the record button. There's also a play button, a pause button, etc. And you'll be able to see that as the person recording, but whoever watches your video won't be able to see it, which is why you can't see it right now. So when you hit record, you get a 3-second countdown, and then it begins recording. So after you've hit the record button, which again is down there with my little arrow, better late than never, sorry about that. So after you do that, you begin talking. You teach whatever you want to teach with it. So for example, I'm gonna X out of my little thing here. If I was doing this for a class, I might do a PowerPoint like this. This is a PowerPoint that I give my students at the beginning of my Shakespeare unit. I would hit record, from current slideshow, it pops up, takes up the whole screen, and I'd flip through my lecture. So if I was doing it to flip my classroom, I might say to the kids, okay, pause the video now, answer these questions in your notes, press play when you're done, blah, blah, blah. We flip through. And then I say, hey, Shakespeare is still really popular in contemporary culture. This is a Twitter account that someone comes up with where they Shakespeareize contemporary song lyrics. So what do you think he's talking about? Whatever kind of cheesy stuff I do in my classroom that you don't need to see anymore. So I continue walking through the PowerPoint so that the kids can get those notes. Another way that you can use it, though, is to do feedback on student work. So I have Turnitin.com in my district, so I can do voice recordings as a way of providing feedback for my students. But if I didn't have that and I wanted my kids to submit to me electronically, I'd change the parameters. So kind of on the side here of the screen where that dashed line was, I'd drag it in just to be on someone's paper, pull that in right there. So I'm really focused in on this area. And I might do something like highlight a portion of the text and say, okay, hey, this piece for our creative writing class, I love what you're doing with the italics for one of the people speaking versus the other. I think given the character's attitude and her tone, that really works. Yada, 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 whatever you want to say to them, you could record as a little snippet of you walking through their paper or walking through their project and giving them that oral feedback. So that's another way of doing that. But back to our screencast. So we go through it, we record, things go according to plan, it's how you want it to look. Once you've done your 15 minutes of feedback, whatever it is you're going to do, you come back and you hit done. And when you hit done, which again is off the screen, you can't see it, it's on your little power strip, recording strip, whatever you want to call it, takes you to the screen, packages your video up nice and neat, and you hit any of these three. If you hit done with this recording and you haven't saved it anywhere else, it will delete it, but you have all these other options. And I found publishing it to YouTube is best. So I click on publish to YouTube and it gives me a bunch of options. I give it a title, I describe it a little bit. I always make my videos private until I've been done editing them, so that's an option. And then this is the continuation of the previous screen. You go all the way, fix everything you need to do, link it to your YouTube account, which if you don't already have a YouTube account, I highly suggest getting one. It's a fabulous way of getting to catalog your videos that you want your kids to see, either stuff that already exists on YouTube or stuff that you're creating. And it's a great way to save your screencasts so that you can have that more than one at a time that the free subscription only allows you. So you link your YouTube account to it, you click upload to YouTube. After about a minute, it generates you a link. You click on the link and it takes you to your YouTube video. At this point, you're the only one who can see it since you've decided that it's going to be private. Then you hit Video Manager, and that takes you to where all your uploads are. So for example, I only have the 2 uploads so far. I have the sample one, and then I have one that I previously did for another class. I would hit edit, and that would take me to the editing feature on YouTube. It's very user-friendly, very easy to figure out on your own. I'm not going to walk you through how to do that right now because doing so would, I think, take more time than we probably have right now in terms of showing every feature that it has. But rest assured, I figured out how to edit on it entirely on my own. I'm happy to work with anyone one-on-one if you want that feedback or you want that help. But it's pretty simple. If you've ever used iMovie or any other kind of video editing software, it's a takeoff on all those kind of popular versions, and you should be able to be fine with it. The only thing, once you've done all that, you've saved it, which it'll walk you through how to do, the only thing you have to do to make sure your kids can see it is change this little locked icon to look like that, look unlocked, because once that's private, that's public. Your kids can't see it even with the link until you make it public, so clicking that open and letting them see that is the next thing that you need to do. So once you've done that, it's up there, you know, you've won the battle, you've done it, congratulations. Now the questions are really, how can I use this in my classroom? Because that's what we're supposed to be answering here. How is this going to improve writing, or how is this going to improve my classroom practice? You could do something very straightforward and simple, which is what I'm doing with you right now, recording a lecture over a PowerPoint for you to return to at home or view after an absence. Alternatively, in that same kind of realm, if you have lectures that you need the kids to see, you could flip your classroom. You could record the lecture the night before or a couple nights before and tell the kids that their homework is to watch it at home or on their phone, wherever, anywhere they have access to YouTube. They watch it, take their notes, and then come in ready to ask questions or ready to know something the next day. The other way is the feedback on written work, which I've showed you. Students could also peer edit this way, be another way. And another method that I haven't tried yet, but that I've seen other teachers do, is recording instructions or modeling activities. So if you want students to be collaborating through Google Drive on a paper, you could record yourself collaborating with someone via Google Drive to show them how to do it, show them what to click, show them what to, highlight when they insert a comment, or how to have those chats, how to bring up the little IM feature, any of the stuff that you want them doing at home so they can return to it and watch it time and time again if they need that reinforced instruction to be able to do it on their own. And lastly, if we're supposed to be differentiating our instruction, you could be reaching out to students who have auditory learning styles. Some students obviously process better hearing the feedback versus seeing the feedback, and this would be a way to package that for them. The only tips and suggestions rather that I have at this point are script out. If this is a lecture you're giving in terms of a PowerPoint, really go ahead and write that out, including when you want to flip your slides. It'll make you feel much more comfortable and make you have to do this fewer times. Rehearse it a few times. I usually record it while I rehearse it in case one goes particularly well. And that way it also gives me a sense of the time, because there's a little timing feature on the recording button that tells you how long you've been talking. I would suggest getting a free YouTube account, whether or not you use it with screencast, whether or not you ever do a screencast, I would still highly suggest getting a free YouTube account for professional use, and then play with it. Have some fun with it. It's really easy to use, but it does take a little getting used to in terms of knowing how long you're talking and making sure you're not fumbling over your words or you're clicking on the right thing. So play with it. Take 5 minutes, try something out, delete it. Take another 5 minutes, another day, do something, delete it, and keep going with it until you really get a hang of it and you can do them in your sleep. And that is pretty much all I have for you. So I'm going to stop recording at this point and turn this into my own little package video just the way I showed you I was going to. Again, we're coming back to that weird meta recording myself recording thing. And I'm happy to take questions. Thanks.